So you want to know about Nirvana. You've seen the logo, you've seen the endless amount of band teas, and you've seen the memes. But now you want to know about the band and their music and why they're so memorable today more than ever. Maybe you don't have time to watch Soaked in Bleach, Montage of Heck, or About a Son, all great documentaries to help explain the story of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain as a person. You could also watch the Gus Van Sant movie Last Days, but just know it's a very artsy fartsy kind of movie. Nirvana started in 1987 by guitarist, singer-songwriter Kurt Cobain and bassist Chris Novoselic. Before the name Nirvana, the band would go through many different names such as Fecal Matter, Pencap Chew, Skid Row, Bliss, and Ted Ed Fred.
Well, the way it went that I read it was Nirvana means freedom from pain and
suffering in the external world. That's just the Webster's dictionary. I mean, that's just right out of the Webster's dictionary.
And you said, as far as you could tell, that's what punk means to you. So it was the perfect name. That's not why you chose the name then?
Now I remember. Yeah, that's why. Sure.
I don't want to harp on the name. It wasn't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It'll be a household word in no time.
The band would go through many different drummers in their lineup to try and find the sound that was right for them. Bob McFadden played with the band in its earliest stages but quit once they started making original songs. Aaron Burkhart, who played at Nirvana's first live show in Richmond, Washington, just didn't get along with Kurt and Chris personally, so he was left behind once the band moved out of Aberdeen. Dale Crover, the drummer of the Melvins, another Washington band, played with Nirvana and would play drums for songs like Paper Cuts and Floyd the Barber on their first demo tape, but did not join the band once moving to San Francisco. Dave Foster, who did not last long in the band, got kicked out for being late to practice and after getting arrested. Chad Chaney, who played drums for the debut album Bleach, but parted ways with the band after wanting a bigger songwriting role, which Kurt did not want to give him. Dan Peters, who is now the drummer for the band Mudhoney, and all those drummers were basically the warm-up act for the only true drummer of Nirvana, Dave Grohl. The band's debut album Bleach was released on June 15th, 1989, which included a gritty and grungy sound that would be a staple in the Pacific Northwest. Songs like Negative Creep, Blue, and Love Buzz were incredibly energetic and loud, but also included the song About a Girl, which sounds closer to a Beatles song. This song was one of the reasons that Dave Grohl decided to join the band also.
Then there was a song called About a Girl in the middle of the record, which is it sounds like something off of an early Beatles record. It's like a Lennon-McCartney song. And you're listening to it, you're like, oh, fuck, this kid can do that too? Holy shit.
Soon after, the band would leave their small record label Sub Pop Records for a bigger deal at DGC Records off the recommendation of Sonic Youth's Kim Gordon. After signing, the band would begin working on their biggest album, Nevermind. The album was recorded at Sound City Studios in Van Nuys, California, and was produced by Butch Vig from the band Garbage, who also produced for bands such as Smashing Pumpkins, L7, and Sonic Youth. The first single on the album, Smells Like Teen Spirit, blew up, getting constant radio and music video plays on MTV, which gave the band so much momentum, boosting album sales and famously displacing Michael Jackson for the #1 spot on Billboard's album chart. This album would go on to sell 30 million plus albums worldwide and was widely regarded as killing the dominance of the hair metal scene in music, so much so that other bands tried to adopt the grungy style of Nirvana. Around this time, Kurt's health was not good, with a combination of stomach issues and frequent drug use, but still were able to headline the closing night of the Reading Festival in 1992, where Kurt came out in a wheelchair and straitjacket, almost mocking the rumors and stories about him. The band released the compilation album Insecticide at the end of 1992, before recording and releasing their next album In Utero, produced by Steve Albini, who was in the band Big Black, and also engineered for the band The Pixies. The album was recorded in just over 2 weeks in 1993 in Cannon Falls, Minnesota. The album had more of a raw and gritty feel to it, something that Kurt thought was missing on the previous album. Kurt had also started dating Courtney Love of the band Hole, and she would begin to cause issues in the studio for the recording process. The band adopted Pat Smear, formerly of the Germs, for additional guitar parts when playing live.
Kurt comes back from Los Angeles. He's like, I found our second guitar player. Like, who? He said, Pat Smear from the Germs. And I was just like, honestly, my first reaction was like, that guy's still alive?
It was only weird immediately, and then it got cool real fast. And
what was weird?
Your first gig was SNL?
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. Throw him on the stage at SNL. Right there it is.
Was Kurt that kind of guy? Like he's like, hey, Pat, just come on SNL with us.
Yeah.
In November 1993, Nirvana performed for MTV's Unplugged, where they did not play most of their known songs. Instead, a few originals along with covers of Meat Puppets, Lead Belly, and David Bowie. This is honestly one of their best performances ever. Definitely one of the best that Unplugged put on. I highly recommend checking this out, either on YouTube or streaming.
Oh no, not me. We never lost control.
In early 1994, Nirvana went on a European tour until Courtney Love found Kurt unconscious in their hotel room in Rome, canceling the rest of the shows, leading him to rehab where he would leave after less than a week, returning to Seattle. And on April 8th, 1994, Kurt was found dead with a self-inflicted shotgun wound to the head, where he was found by an electrical worker. Kurt's death was announced on a now infamous clip of the popular segment on MTV News reported by Kurt Loder.
Hi, I'm Kurt Loder with an MTV News special report on a very sad day. Kurt Cobain, the leader of one of rock's most gifted and promising bands, Nirvana, is dead, and this is the story as we know it so far. Cobain's body was found in a house in Seattle on Friday morning. He was dead of an apparently to the head. Police found what is said to be a note at the scene, but have not yet divulged its contents. Cobain, who was 27, had reportedly been missing for about 6 days, according to his mother.
After the end of Nirvana, drummer Dave Grohl would go on to found the band Foo Fighters, where he would go on to release over 10 albums and one illegitimate child, while Chris would quit music altogether, leaning more into politics. The impact of the band and their music is practically endless. The songs are just as popular today, thanks to streaming and YouTube introducing the music to an entire new generation. Even with fashion, Kurt was ahead of his time. Their songs have been sampled by artists such as Jay-Z, Tony Tone, Prodigy, Blink-182, Playboi Carti, and many, many more. Now, if you want to get into Nirvana and you've never heard any of their music, I highly recommend checking these songs out. I will include a playlist in the description for those that want to check out more of their songs, because honestly, the more people that listen to Nirvana, the better the world will be.